It really means a lot for someone African American to be in office making a change.
First time that Senator Harris has made history. She is the first Indian American to serve in the United States Senate.
It's a specific phase of life. Remember, age is more than a chronological fact. What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
These are incredible young people who are doing everything we hope and pray will epitomize the American dream.
We're a young child. Vice President Biden says that your current position on busing, you're opposed to federally mandated busing, that position is the same as his position. Is he right?
That is simply false.
When Senator Harris was Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she in fact was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you in fact have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. Without me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. And Senator Harris, your response?
That is simply not true. And as Attorney General of California, where I ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice, I am proud of the work we did.
From an outsider who doesn't really know both of you very well, your relationship, which seems like a good one now, really does bring home the old phrase, politics makes for strange, let's say, partnerships. Because in those debates, you landed haymakers on Joe Biden. I mean, his teeth were like chiclets all over the stage. And now I believe you that you're fully supportive of him. How does that transition happen? How do you go from being such a passionate opponent on such bedrock principles for you, and now you guys seem to be pals?
It was a debate.
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it?
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate. It was called a debate.
I understand.
Traveled to the debate. There were journalists there covering the debate, where there would be a debate of differences of opinion and issues.
Okay.
I am 1,000% supportive of Joe Biden, and I will again do everything I can to make sure he is elected.
She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like. The reactions I get when I tell people my story is, they say it's the worst nightmare. You know, it's the closest thing to dying.
Negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders.
Last night in Guatemala, you had a message for would-be migrants. Don't come.
Do not come. Do not come.
The notion that the border is closed. Why should they believe you when they know that people are getting in?
Well, Lester, here's the thing. I've been working on this issue for a very long time. And the kind of violence and danger that is associated with that trek, especially when we're talking about from Guatemala through Mexico to the United States. It's extremely dangerous. And the reason that I am in Guatemala is to address the reasons people leave home, flee. Knowing that the people who are here for generations, or if we know that the history of Guatemala for centuries, they want to stay, they don't want to leave, but they need opportunity, they need assistance, they need support.
But Americans don't see
we have the ability to give them that.
Yeah, Americans don't see a lot of that on a daily basis. What they do see at their own border, children being lowered over fences, children coming in with, phone numbers stenciled on their hand.
Yeah.
And so the question has come up, and you heard it here, and you'll hear it again, I'm sure. It's why not visit the border? Why not see what Americans are seeing in this crisis?
Well, we are going to the border. We have to deal with what's happening at the border. There's no question about that. That's not a debatable point. But we have to understand that there's a reason people are arriving at our border and ask what is that reason, and then identify the problem so we can fix it.
What do you tell a Guatemalan family who heard you say don't come, but they're facing the end. There's poverty, there's disease, all these things happening at once. You tell them don't come?
We don't want... Listen, I don't think that Americans want people to be exposed to harm if they can avoid it. They're taking the trek from the place that they know that they want to stay. So I'm here in Guatemala to say, what can we do to support people and to give them a sense of hope that help is on the way?
The administration looking to inject billions of dollars in aid to this region to help reduce that migrant surge. In April, nearly 180,000 migrants were apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol, the highest number in 20 years. And more unaccompanied migrant children come from Guatemala than anywhere else. Over 16,000 unaccompanied children tonight in custody. What's victory look like in this, or what does improvement look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I would suggest to you that we have seen progress already. When we have 12 of the biggest corporations of America who have, I convene them in my office, and they have agreed to help us work on this issue. Success so far is the bringing together of community-based organizations, not only in the United States, but here in Guatemala. Today, that was one of my meetings with civil society leaders, to let them know we see them, and we understand their concerns about corruption, and we also understand their role of leadership to help us in terms of how we prioritize our work in this region.
So how quickly does this change what we see at the border?
I don't know that we're going to see listen, I've been very clear from the beginning. There's not going to be a quick fix. So we've seen progress, but the real work is going to take time to manifest itself. Will it be worth it? Yes. Will it take some time? Yes.
There's one other topic I wanted to talk to you about, but let me just quickly put a button.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. I'm not discounting the importance of the border.
Well, I mentioned it because I know Republicans have certainly come at you on this, but Democratic Congressman Cuellar has a border district has said to you and the president, come. You need to see this.
Listen, I care about what's happening at the border. I'm in Guatemala because my focus is dealing with the root causes of migration.
High even within the Democratic Party. In a striking change of plan, the Biden administration is waiving 24 federal laws to shore up the border wall. Meantime, staffers from the Department of Homeland Security, they're here visiting Chicago. All of this after Governor Pritzker publicly shared his letter to the White House saying this crisis was untenable. President Biden changes his earlier stand that building the border wall was a waste of money. Now funds for the project will be released. Governor J.B. Pritzker will not say if the wall is a good idea, nor will he say the president reversed course.
This is really more a comprehensive discussion about border security, and he's been in favor from the very beginning and for a long time in his career of border security, but also having significant immigration in this country.
Meanwhile,
I am going to the border as soon as possible.
Mayor Brandon Johnson is planning to take a city delegation to the border soon to see for himself the conditions. Deputy Mayor Cristina Pacione-Zayas.
It's really important to go to one of the points upstream to really understand the conditions and circumstances, the processing, to get a better kind of grasp of the magnitude.
Chicago is seeing no end to the number of migrants dropped off here.
The estimations that we could expect anywhere between 20 to 25 buses daily, 24/7.
The city of Denver has begun passing out flyers at the border to discourage migrants from coming to Denver. Chicago has no plans to do the same.
They have now put out their own flyer to the border saying, we are not taking any more. It's a very similar flyer to what New York did. So I think what you're, observing is that more and more people are recognizing that Chicago is holding the line, standing in values.
There are also conversations underway between the city and the state about how to perhaps use the National Guard to help coordinate services for the migrants. It's not happening just yet, but as the Guard helped during COVID, there might be a way to coordinate services, and they're looking at that.
Certainly is a lot going on this front. Thanks so much, Marianne, and you stay on top of it.
Yes.
We wish her all the best in her lifetime, and once she becomes the president, our earnest request is she should be a friendly country for our nation. So the India is surrounded by many other countries like China, Pakistan and others, and she should be giving full support to the India.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no. If you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. Because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country.